To me, if you didn't mention me in the Guinness Book of Records, I will try to find a way to insert myself.
Petrol subsidy removal is nothing to brag about, not to talk of Guinness Book of Records. In fact, if he's worthy of any record, it should be that he forged, bribed, and stole his way to office. And all the people that enabled him to get there ignored his criminal past. Some won that laundered narcotics trafficking proceeds and ended up forfeiting $460,000 to the US government. That's the record he deserves, not petrol subsidy removal. Anyone can do it. It's only Tinubu that forged his way to power, and so many other things he did. You can add yours. Guinness World Records are about unique achievements by individuals, not something like signing a piece of paper. Buhari could have removed petrol subsidy, but because maybe he understood better the impact on the economy and the suffering it will bring to a country with the highest poor people in the world, unlike the heartless one who is more interested in pleasing foreigners than improving Nigeria's economy. Granted that all candidates before the election said that they will remove subsidy, but all of them still outlined what they would have done before the removal. Removing petrol subsidy without providing affordable alternatives simply hurt Nigerian economy more than the savings the government made. Even putting more money in the hands of people that are very wasteful is not advisable, because the higher the revenue they earn, the bigger the stealing and diversion of public funds they do. They never spend the money wisely.
And today, I can brag, beat my chest, that Lagos is on the horizon. It's the fifth largest economy in Africa, from zero.
He went there to brag and beat his chest. It was all about him. He doesn't know that it is his character, the impunity, criminality, and deeply corrupt judiciary that is scaring people from investing in Nigeria. He seems to be living in an alternate universe not to understand these simple basics. There's also the need to improve physical infrastructure that supports businesses. Charity, they say, must begin at home. Nigerians should be investing in their own country, not running away to other countries. If they invest in their country and other foreigners see it, it will encourage them to come and share in the prosperity in Nigeria. Is that the situation now? No. Foreign conglomerates are actually leaving Nigeria en masse. Even China, that is experiencing economic slowdown and high unemployment, they are doing something about it. Xi Jinping went to California and met industry leaders, obviously to find out why they are no longer investing in China like before. Apple will manufacture the new iPhone in India. What have Nigerian officials done to stop the exodus of foreign companies? Nothing. Instead, they are budgeting millions of dollars going abroad to look for new investors.
I am from private sector, one of you. Trained by Deloitte.
He keeps repeating the same lie. Deloitte debunked ever knowing him. He never worked for them. Does he realize he's talking to Germans? They are among the top 5 in the intelligence community. So no need lying to them. They know how to get information if they want it. Definitely not from him. Of course, they know his past. And this time he added a twist, a new narrative, that he was trained by Deloitte. He also talked about being from the private sector, that is one of them, and same as the investors. That's a blatant lie. Being a civilian or not having a military background doesn't mean that someone is an operator in the private sector. Tinubu is among many politicians in Nigeria that have wealth without enterprise. He set up Alpha Beta with some people that are fronts for him a few years before he left office in 2007. He used his influence as the then governor of Lagos to force the Lagos State House of Assembly members to pass a tax collection law that included Alpha Beta as the sole tax collector for Lagos State government. Included because the law was later amended to remove the name of the company after uproar from the opposition. At some point, Alpha Beta earned about 15% of all taxes collected. This can never happen, even in a developed country, not to talk of a third world country that needs all the money they can get to develop their country to catch up with developed countries. A company earning this amount of percentage is criminal. The company robs Lagosians of money that should have been used to develop their state, to make their lives better. How can a company earn such percentage when millions live in slums in Lagos? It can only happen in Nigeria. So this is the kind of business and state capture that it knows how to do. This in no way makes him a private sector operator. There was no competitive bidding before he made his company the sole tax collector for Lagos state government. Competitive bidding is even making it likely because Alpha Beta was written into the law. All this can only happen where people accept everything from politicians. You can't make a law for an individual or a company. So it's obvious that his idea about leadership and attracting foreign investors is to devalue the naira and remove petrol subsidy. Since the IMF and other financial institutions have been saying that petrol subsidy is unsustainable in Nigeria, he thinks that if he removes it, foreign investors will come flooding Nigeria. What delusion! He thinks crashing Nigeria's economy to please foreigners will lead to prosperity for all Nigerians. This is what is called living in alternate reality. Foreign-owned conglomerates are leaving Nigeria en masse. Have any government official asked the reason why? The foreign investors that are already in Nigeria are leaving and no one is asking them why they are leaving, but they think they can attract new foreign investors. Nigeria has a population of more than 200 million people. Among these 200 million people, you have the most poor people in the world. At the last count, it was more than 130 million people that are very poor. If people are very poor, it means that their purchasing power is zero or minus zero. So many foreign investors know that the percentage of Nigerians who have high purchasing power is less than 5%, which translates to less than 10 million out of 200 million people. So they rate Nigeria's economy based on 10 million people who can buy what they produce. And don't talk about exports yet because Nigeria is simply not competitive. If they rate Nigeria's economy with 10 million people, that means Nigeria is comparable to Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and other smaller countries. Nigeria needs to reform and provide infrastructure to a certain level before reaching the level that Vietnam, India, and China have achieved. If this is not achieved, no foreign investor will site a factory in Nigeria to manufacture products for export. This is the hard reality. No investor ever gambles with his money. So before anyone thinks this is because we oppose Tinubu, that we are being negative, this channel has promoted Nigeria more than Tinubu will ever do in his life. That someone is part of the opposition doesn't mean he's not patriotic. Democracy must have checks and balances to survive, or we will drift into a one-party dictatorship. That's not even the bad part. The worst part is that they are so incompetent. Is China not a one-party state? They are. Look at what they have achieved in the past 50 years. So if corrupt politicians reduce their impunity and stealing of public funds to a scale that is lower than the work they do, a lot of people wouldn't mind. But when you have 90% corruption, or in some cases into credit, yes, they borrow money and steal the money. They announce trillions of naira in annual budgets, but before the year runs out, they will approve trillions again as supplementary budget with nothing to show for it in terms of physical infrastructure or improvement of HDI. Buhari printed 23 trillion naira, but no one can show where he invested that money up to today. Another angle that people don't seem to consider is the rule of law. Judges in this dispensation have also contributed to why foreign investors will never invest in Nigeria because of their deep-rooted corruption. If Nigerians can't obey their own rules and laws, a foreigner stands no chance. That's the reality. It's simply not a fair system, and in such a system, an innocent person may fall victim because he didn't pay bribe to a judge. That's not how to build a country. Everyone saw how they stole and grabbed political power. The EU election report is still there and Germany is among the EU leaders. In fact, they are number one in EU. You expect them to overlook all this and trust Tinubu?
Free of all hurdles and hindrances, we have scaled through democratic changes in Nigeria. If that is your fear, it is gone.
Actions have consequences. If you don't follow your laws, no one will trust you. No foreign investor will have confidence in your country because a judge will wake up one day and overlook the law and start arguing for the respondent. Yes, they defended the respondents in election petition tribunals around the country. Can you imagine that? They couldn't even hide their bias. The bribes they collected were overflowing to the extent that they forgot themselves, just like what happened in Kanu. They wrote two separate judgments for the two parties. Eventually, they ended up giving the wrong one to the governor of Kanu State when they requested the CTC in order to file an appeal at the Supreme Court. It's so shameful what these people are doing, what they have turned the country to a mockery in the eyes of the world. Judges that can turn black to white like magic in your very own eyes. Not to talk of Tinubu's crime-ridden past and forgeries. Can you trust such a character to keep to his word? Can you say this about most Western countries or even Southeast Asian countries? Do they have people of such character in sensitive positions, not to talk of being leader? No, they don't. Laws are made to be obeyed. Everyone should be equal in the eyes of the law. So apart from the physical infrastructure and other basics that are needed for businesses to thrive, foreigners simply do not trust Nigeria as a place where they can invest millions or billions of dollars and go to sleep with their eyes closed. If you want foreign investors, you must have a robust and independent judiciary, a system that is not corrupt, not these corrupt, shameless men that call themselves judges. They think Nigerians are not smart. And it will only get worse. Since they did it for Tinubu, they will do it for any man. And they will set their price. The highest bidder will get the favorable judgment. Tinubu and anybody in position of authority cannot stop judges from taking bribes to sell judgment because they are beneficiaries. They've given them the license to collect bribes from people to sell judgment. That's the standard that they have set. Thanks for watching.